Your thoughts are the foundation of your life. Every action you take, every decision you make begins in your mind. What you believe about yourself, about your abilities, and about your future is shaped by the thoughts you allow to take root. It's no exaggeration to say that your mind is the control center of your life, steering the direction you'll go. But here's the truth. Not every thought that crosses your mind is productive, helpful, or even accurate. Some thoughts, if left unchecked, can become infected, spreading negativity and self-doubt. And just like a physical infection can harm your body, infected thinking can harm your life, limiting your potential and keeping you from the joy, peace, and success you're meant to experience. Infected thinking doesn't start out obvious. It's subtle, often sneaking in under the guise of self-protection or caution. Maybe you've caught yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, or I've failed too many times, or people like me never succeed. Those thoughts may seem harmless at first, but over time they begin to shape your identity. What you repeatedly tell yourself, you eventually believe. And what you believe determines how you act, how you treat yourself, and what opportunities you're willing to pursue. If your thoughts are infected with negativity, fear, or doubt, they create barriers that stop you from moving forward. The good news is that your thoughts are not permanent. They are not set in stone. You have the power to take control of your thinking and redirect it toward a healthier, more productive path. It starts with awareness. Pay attention to the narrative running through your mind. Are your thoughts encouraging and uplifting, or are they critical and self-sabotaging? When you catch yourself thinking something negative, stop and challenge it. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Is it leading me toward the life I want to live? Most of the time, you'll realize that those infected thoughts are not rooted in reality. They're just distortions born out of fear or insecurity. Once you recognize those infected thoughts, the next step is to replace them with something better. It's not enough to just stop negative thinking. You have to actively fill your mind with thoughts that are positive, empowering, and aligned with your goals. For example, instead of thinking, I'll never succeed, replace it with, I'm capable, and I'm learning every day. Instead of, I've failed too many times, say, every failure is a stepping stone to success. These may seem like small shifts, but over time, they can transform the way you see yourself and the way you approach life. The power of your thoughts lies in their ability to influence your emotions, your behavior, and even the opportunities that come your way. When you think positive, empowering thoughts, you carry yourself with confidence. That confidence attracts people and opportunities that align with your goals. It creates a ripple effect, turning small victories into bigger ones. But when your mind is filled with doubt and negativity, it's like putting up a roadblock between you and your potential. The world doesn't determine your limits, your thinking does. Let me remind you that removing infected thinking is not a one-time process, it's an ongoing practice. Every day, you have to choose to guard your mind against negativity. Be intentional about what you allow into your mental space. Read things that inspire you, listen to messages that encourage you, and spend time with people who lift you up. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't tend to it, weeds of negativity will grow. But when you nurture it with positive, empowering thoughts, it will flourish. As we close, I want to encourage you to take ownership of your thoughts. Don't let negativity set the course for your life. You have the power to rewrite the narrative in your mind, to remove the infected thinking that's been holding you back, and to replace it with thoughts of possibility, hope, and strength. Your life is too precious to be limited by negative thoughts. You were meant to thrive, to grow, and to live with confidence. Start today, renew your mind, take control of your thinking, and step boldly into the future that's waiting for you. Thank you. Just like a physical illness, negative thinking often has a source. It doesn't come out of nowhere, it starts somewhere, usually small, and begins to grow. If you've ever dealt with recurring doubts, persistent fears, or a pattern of self-sabotage, chances are those thoughts didn't appear overnight. They have roots. And if you want to remove them, you first have to trace them back to their origin. Think of it like a gardener pulling weeds. If you just cut the top off the weed, it'll grow back. But if you dig down and pull it out by the root, it won't have the chance to return. The same is true for your thinking. To break free from infected thoughts, you have to identify where they came from. Many times, the roots of negative thinking are tied to past experiences. Maybe someone said something to you years ago that planted a seed of insecurity. It could have been a comment about your abilities, your appearance, or your worth. At the time, you may not have realized how much it affected you, but over the years, that seed grew. It became a belief, I'm not good enough, I'll never measure up, or I don't have what it takes. Other times, negative thinking stems from failure. Maybe you tried something and it didn't work out, and now you've convinced yourself that failure is inevitable. Whatever the source, those infected thoughts take root and begin to shape the way you see yourself in the world. Another source of infected thinking is fear of rejection, fear of change, fear of the unknown. Fear can be a powerful driver of negative thoughts because it causes you to focus on worst-case scenarios. It tells you don't take that risk, you might fail, or don't get too close to people, they might hurt you. Fear magnifies the negatives and blinds you to the possibilities. The problem is, when you live in fear-based thinking, you build walls that keep you from growing, connecting, and stepping into new opportunities. Sometimes negative thinking doesn't even originate within us. It can come from the people we surround ourselves with. If you're constantly hearing discouraging words from others, whether it's friends, family, or co-workers, it's easy for those words to seep into your own thoughts. You might not even realize it, but over time, their negativity can become your internal dialogue. That's why it's so important to guard your mind and be mindful of who you're listening to. Not everyone deserves a voice in your life. Recognizing the source of negative thinking is a game changer, because once you know where it comes from, you can take steps to counteract it. If your thoughts are rooted in past experiences, remind yourself that the past doesn't define you. You're not the same person you were back then. And just because something didn't work out before doesn't mean it won't work out now. If your thoughts are rooted in fear, challenge that fear. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And if it did, could I handle it? Most of the time, you'll realize that your fear is exaggerated and you're stronger than you think. If your negativity comes from the influence of others, consider creating some distance or setting boundaries. Surround yourself with voices that uplift and encourage you. It's not always easy to dig up the roots of negative thinking, but it's worth the effort. When you remove those roots, you make room for new, healthier thoughts to grow. You give yourself the freedom to think with clarity, hope, and confidence. Remember, you don't have to be defined by where you've been or what you've been through. You have the power to choose a new narrative, one that aligns with the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be. As we wrap this up, let me encourage you, take the time to identify the source of any negativity in your life. Don't let old wounds, fear, or the words of others dictate your future. You are capable of uprooting those infected thoughts and planting seeds of hope, possibility, and strength. The future ahead of you is too bright to be clouded by the past. Make the decision today to free yourself from the roots of negativity and step boldly into the life you were created to live. Thank you, Dot. One of the most transformative things you can do in your life is to replace negative, infected thinking with thoughts that are healthy, hopeful, and empowering. It's not enough to simply remove the bad thoughts. You have to fill that space with something better. Just like when you declutter a room in your house, you don't leave it empty, you decorate it with things that bring you joy. Things that create an atmosphere of peace and purpose. The same is true for your mind. If you don't intentionally plant positive thoughts, negativity will creep back in because the mind doesn't stay neutral. It gravitates toward what you feed it most. Replacing infected thinking starts with what you choose to focus on. If you focus on everything that's going wrong, everything that's missing, or everything that hasn't worked out, your mind will begin to magnify those things. It's like a camera lens. Whatever you focus on becomes larger in your life. That's why it's so important to redirect your focus to what's good, what's working, and what's possible. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to shift your focus. When you make it a habit to look for things to be grateful for, no matter how small, you train your mind to see the positive. Over time, gratitude can become the default setting of your mind, replacing negativity with appreciation. Another way to replace infected thinking is to challenge the lies you've believed about yourself. If you've been telling yourself, I'm not smart enough, I'm not capable, or I'll never succeed, stop and ask yourself, who told me that? Where did that belief come from? Most of the time, those lies were planted by someone else's words. past failures, or your own insecurities. But here's the truth. Those lies only have power if you agree with them. You can make the choice today to stop agreeing with what's not true and start speaking truth over yourself. Instead of saying, I can't, say I can learn. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, say I have everything I need to succeed. Words have power, and the words you speak to yourself shape the way you think and live. Replacing negativity also requires you to guard what you allow into your mind. Think of your mind as a garden. If you're constantly feeding it with negativity from toxic conversations, endless complaints, or discouraging media, you're planting weeds in that garden. Those weeds will choke out the healthy thoughts you're trying to grow. Instead, be intentional about what you let in. Surround yourself with uplifting people, listen to encouraging messages, and read things that inspire you. The more you fill your mind with positivity, the less room there is for negativity to take root. It's also important to remind yourself that replacing infected thinking is a process, not a one-time event. It takes practice and consistency. There will be days when negativity tries to creep back in, and that's okay. The key is to catch it early and redirect your thoughts. Don't be discouraged if it feels hard at first. Every time you choose to focus on the positive, challenge a lie, or guard your mind, you're building a new pattern of thinking. Over time, those new patterns will become second nature, and you'll find yourself thinking in ways that uplift and empower you. As we come to a close, let me leave you with this. You have the power to transform your thinking. You don't have to be stuck in a cycle of negativity. You don't have to let infected thoughts hold you back or steal your joy. Make the decision today to fill your mind with thoughts that align with who you want to be and the life you want to live. Remember, every thought you choose is a step toward becoming the best version of yourself. Choose wisely, live intentionally, and watch how your life begins to change. Thank you. Your mind is one of the most powerful tools you have. And one of the keys to replacing infected thinking is learning to reframe your perspective. Life doesn't always go the way we plan. There will be setbacks, disappointments, and challenges. It's easy to let those moments cloud your mind with thoughts like, why did this happen to me? Or it's not fair. But here's the thing, it's not the situation itself that holds you back. It's how you choose to see it. You can't always control what happens, but you can control how you respond. Reframing your perspective allows you to take what looks like a problem and see the opportunity hidden within it. Imagine you're walking through a forest and suddenly the path you're on is blocked by a fallen tree. You can stand there and get frustrated saying, why is this in my way? Or you can look around and notice that there's another path just a few steps away, one that might lead to an even more beautiful destination. That's what reframing your perspective is all about. It's about choosing to see obstacles as detours, not dead ends. It's about recognizing that even when one door closes, another door is waiting to be opened. When you adopt this mindset, you take back your power. You stop feeling like a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as someone who can navigate through them. Reframing your perspective also means finding the lesson in every challenge. Every difficult season you go through has something to teach you. Maybe it's teaching you resilience, patience, or the importance of trusting the process. Maybe it's showing you what really matters or helping you discover strength you didn't know you had. The challenges you face are not there to defeat you, they're there to develop you. When you start looking at your struggles as opportunities to grow, they lose their power to overwhelm you. Instead of thinking this is too hard, you start thinking this is making me stronger. One way to reframe your perspective is to ask yourself better questions. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what can I learn from this, or how can this situation make me better? The questions you ask determine the answers you get. If you're always asking negative questions, you'll find negative answers. But when you shift to questions that focus on growth and possibilities, you'll start to see things in a whole new light. You'll realize that what you thought was a setback was actually a setup for something greater. Another powerful tool for reframing your perspective is gratitude. It's easy to focus on what's wrong. But what if you took a moment to focus on what's right? Even in the midst of difficulties, there's always something to be grateful for. Maybe it's the people who support you, the lessons you've learned, or the strength you've gained. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. And that shift can change everything. When you focus on the good, you open the door for more good to come into your life. As we bring this to a close, let me encourage you, don't let infected thinking steal your joy or keep you stuck. You have the ability to choose how you see your life, how you interpret your experiences, and how you move forward. Reframe your perspective. Look for the opportunity in every challenge. Focus on the good in every situation. And remember, every time you choose to see things differently, you're creating a brighter, stronger, more fulfilling future for yourself. You're not defined by what happens to you. You're defined by how you respond. Choose growth, choose hope, and choose to see the possibilities in every moment. Thank you, us carry narratives that no longer serve us, narratives that were born out of past hurts, failures, or disappointments. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough, that success is for other people, or that you'll always struggle, then those beliefs will shape your reality. But the good news is this: you have the power to rewrite your story. Think of your mind like a movie script. If you don't like the story being told, you don't have to keep replaying it. You can pick up the pen and write a new script. That means replacing self-defeating thoughts with empowering ones, shifting from a mindset of limitation to a mindset of abundance, and letting go of the labels or opinions that other people have placed on you. Maybe someone told you that you wouldn't amount to much. Or maybe life threw some curveballs your way that made you question your worth. But you are not defined by what others think or by the challenges you faced. You are defined by the choices you make and the narrative you choose to believe about yourself. Changing the narrative starts with becoming aware of the stories you're telling yourself. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't do this," challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this really true, or is this just a story I've been telling myself? Then replace it with a more empowering thought, like, "I've faced challenges before, and I've overcome them. I can do this." Writing your story is a process. It won't happen overnight, but every time you challenge a limiting belief and replace it with a positive one, you're taking a step toward freedom. It's also important to surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you. The voices you allow in your life play a big role in shaping your narrative. If you're constantly around people who doubt you, criticize you, or focus on what's wrong, it's easy for that negativity to seep into your own thinking. But when you surround yourself with people who believe in you, who see your potential and who speak life into you, it becomes easier to rewrite your story. Sometimes just hearing someone say, "You've got this," or "I believe in you," can remind you of your own strength and worth. Another key to changing the narrative is to focus on what you want, not on what you fear. Too often we let our minds dwell on worst-case scenarios or what could go wrong. But what if you shifted your focus to the best-case scenario? What if you started visualizing the life you want instead of worrying about the life you don't? When you focus on what you want, you start to attract opportunities, ideas, and resources that align with that vision. You start to see possibilities where you once saw problems, and you begin to move toward the life you were meant to live. As I close, let me leave you with this thought: you are not bound by the stories of your past or the limitations others have placed on you. You have the power to change the narrative, to speak life and possibility over yourself, and to step into a new chapter filled with purpose and potential. Don't let infected thinking keep you in a story that no longer serves you. You are the author of your life. Pick up the pen, write a story that inspires you, and watch as your life begins to transform. The best chapters are still ahead. Thank you. When we talk about removing infected thinking, we're not just talking about thoughts that are obviously negative or self-destructive. Often, the most insidious forms of infected thinking are the subtle ones that we don't even realize are holding us back. These are the thoughts that tell us we're not capable, that we don't deserve the best, or that we're stuck in our current situation. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing these thoughts because they can seem so logical or real, But the truth is, these thoughts are just illusions. They are lies that we've allowed to take root in our minds, and they prevent us from stepping into the fullness of who we are meant to be. One of the most powerful things you can do is recognize that your thoughts are not always true. Just because you think something doesn't mean it's reality. Our minds are constantly feeding us thoughts, some empowering, others limiting, but we get to choose which ones we give power to. If you're constantly telling yourself, I'll never be good enough, or I'm not smart enough to succeed, those thoughts will shape the way you approach challenges. They will limit your actions and hold you back from pursuing your dreams. But the moment you recognize these thoughts as false, you can choose to replace them with the truth. The truth is that you are capable. You are worthy of success. You have everything you need within you to overcome the challenges you face and create the life you desire. The key to changing your life is to change your thinking. When you start thinking in alignment with your potential and not your limitations, you begin to take actions that align with your purpose. You start to see opportunities instead of obstacles. You start to believe that the best is yet to come, and you move forward with confidence and courage. Infected thinking also thrives when we compare ourselves to others. It's easy to look at someone else's life and think, why can't I have that? Why am I not as successful as they are? But comparison is a thief of joy. It steals your peace and distracts you from your own path. Each of us has a unique journey, and comparing your progress to someone else's will only make you feel inadequate. Instead, focus on your own growth. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small they seem, and trust that your path is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. Everyone's journey looks different, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep moving forward with purpose, even if it's one small step at a time. The good news is that infected thinking is not permanent. It's a habit that you can change. The more you practice focusing on the positive, the more natural it becomes. It's like exercising a muscle. At first it's challenging, but the more you work at it, the stronger your mindset becomes. Start by replacing negative thoughts with positive affirmations. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, replace it with, I am more than enough. When you think this is too hard, replace it with, I have the strength and resilience to overcome anything. Over time, these positive affirmations will replace the negative thoughts, and you'll begin to believe in your own potential. Another key to overcoming infected thinking is to guard your mind. Just like you protect your physical body from harmful substances, you need to protect your mind from harmful thoughts. Be mindful of what you're feeding your mind. If you're constantly watching negative news, surrounding yourself with toxic people, or listening to music or content that brings you down, it's no wonder you're struggling with negativity. Surround yourself with things that uplift and inspire you. Read books that encourage personal growth. Listen to podcasts that motivate you. Spend time with people who believe in you and push you to be your best. The more you fill your mind with positive influences, the less room there will be for infected thinking to take hold. In closing, remember that the power to change your life is in your hands. You can choose to let your thoughts control you, or you can take control of your thoughts. The moment you recognize that your mind is powerful, you start to take responsibility for the way you think. By changing the way you think, you can change your reality. You can remove the infection of negative, limiting beliefs, and replace them with thoughts that empower and propel you forward. Your potential is limitless, and you are capable of achieving greatness. The only thing standing in your way is the thoughts you allow to take root. So take control, change your thinking, and watch as your life begins to transform. Thank you.